Howdy mates, here's a part 2 film for August 16th, 2024. Here we are, Wildcat Den State Park. Another jewel in the state of Iowa. We're near the town, as I mentioned before, of Muscatine, which is near the Mississippi River. And so that is how we have a bit of this geology here, mostly composed of dolostone, along with some combination of sandstone too. And you figure with some of the humidity that we have had these past couple of days, the plants are very happy right now. There's a lot of also what you call evapotranspiration. Sounds like a complex term, but it doesn't have to be. Think of it this way. Evapotranspiration is basically the release of water vapor coming from the plant. It's basically a way of the plant drying itself, kind of like how we do when we're exposed to air, sunlight after swimming. Transpiration's a somewhat similar concept, but rather the sun is pulling that water directly and turning it into water vapor. And that is actually contributing to a bit of the humidity right now, as here. But having the water go up the plant tissue is just a way of ensuring that the plant remains hydrated. Because if a plant does not get the amount of water that it needs, it will wind up getting wilted. So in a sense, the function of water in a plant is very similar to what water does for the human body. It allows the functions to remain possible. So that's what's going on. And there's something I want to point out too. Another neat little thing about nature is, here we are. We have what is known as jewelweed. And it's usually a flowering plant that occurs a little later in the summer as it progresses a little bit more towards fall. In saying that, usually whenever a jewelweed is nearby, it usually has a counterpart. Stinging nettle. This is a plant that you want to avoid making contact. It has a lot of bristly hairs, and what happens is when your skin touches it, you tend to get a little itchy. So you may be wondering, okay, what's the relationship between both of the plants? Well, let's say you touch stinging nettle, you were itching excessively, and maybe you don't have some kind of cure for it. So what jewelweed can do is act as that cure. The fluids that come from the plant can actually act as a relieving agent. It reduces the inflammation that your skin is experiencing. And that makes my point. It's quite neat that nature has the plant that poses as a problem, yet nearby, it has a plant that proposes a solution. Pretty cool, huh? Here's what is known as the punch bowl at this park. You can imagine that the water flow here is what you call ephemeral. So it only happens periodically after a heavy rain. But this is just a result of erosion over time. And you can actually see the different cross beds based on maybe the oceanic bed during the period, maybe even wind as well. You figure this rock probably has to date somewhere between 400 million years old, give or take, according to a geologist's timescale. But you may have also noticed that there's a lot of ferns here. Well, such is the case because ferns are a seedless vascular plant. They tend to like areas that are a little more shaded. And for another, they don't require as much of a root system either. So that's how they can inhabit some of this more rugged landscape. But they're, as I mentioned, they're a shade-loving plant. And ferns are quite complex. Usually on the underside of the leaves, they have a stoma. It allows the spores to be released, which allow the reproduction of those ferns to be possible. Nature's cool. What can I say? If I had to sum up one of the phrases for this blog, it would be nature's cool. Alright, you guys. Have a good one. Take care.